proven true, are you okay with Postmaster General DeJoy and the fact that he asked former employees at his private company to make donations to the GOP and then reimburse them? Are you okay with that?
I don't know too much about it. I read something this morning, but I don't. Other than that, I'd have to see it. He's a very respected man. He was approved very much by both parties, I guess. It was sort of an approval that took place by both parties. I don't know exactly what the story is. I'll certainly know within a short period of time. I just read it for the first time. I read it this morning, just like you did.
Would you support an investigation, sir?
Sure.
And
I think let the investigations go, but he's a very respected man. Again, it was a bipartisan commission. Postmaster General is appointed by a bipartisan commission, and we'll see how that goes. But no, I think he's a very honest guy, but we'll see. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
go ahead,
follow up, please, if you don't mind. If it's proven to be a campaign finance scheme, do you think he should lose his job?
Yeah, if something could be proven that he did something wrong, always.
Thank you.
Always. They've been looking at me for 4 years. They found nothing. 4 years. Think of it. For 4 years, from the day I came down the escalator, I've been under investigation by sleaze, and they found nothing. They found nothing. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most innocent, honorable man ever to hold the office of president. Think of it. They spent just Mueller alone. He spent, I guess the real number turned out to be $48 million, but whatever it was, many, many millions of dollars. They had 18 angry Democrats looking. They had FBI agents all over the place. They had and they have no collusion. Friends of mine have said, sophisticated friends have said, you've got to be the most innocent guy ever to hold this office, and there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, please.
This question came in the aftermath of a new development in what has probably been the most corrupt appointment of anyone in this administration, which is no small feat considering half of this administration has already been indicted. According to new reporting, employees who worked for Louis DeJoy's former business were urged to write checks for Republican candidates, and they were later reimbursed for those donations with bonuses through the business. This is referred to as a straw donor scheme. The scheme would allow donors to evade individual contribution limits and obscure the true sources of money as a way to influence the election. And so that we're clear, it is both a state and a federal campaign finance violation. And bear in mind, Louis DeJoy was asked exactly this when he came to testify to Congress last month.
Well, Mr. DeJoy, as a mega donor for the Trump campaign, you were picked along with Michael Cohen and Elliot Broidy, two men who have already pled guilty to felonies, to be the 3 deputy finance chairmen of the Republican National Committee. Did you pay back several of your top executives for contributing to Trump's campaign by bonusing or rewarding them?
That's an outrageous claim, sir, and I resent it.
I'm just asking a question.
The answer is no.
So you did not bonus or reward any of your executives?
No.
Or anyone that you solicited for a contribution to the Trump campaign?
No, sir.
Not in whole or in part?
Actually, during the Trump campaign, I wasn't even working at my company anymore.
Well, we want to make sure that campaign contributions are legal. So all your campaign contributions are legal.
I'm fully aware of legal campaign contributions.
Well, what if
I resent the assertion, sir. What are you accusing me of?
Well, I'm asking a question.
Meaning that when an investigation is carried out, if it's proven that DeJoy did the exact thing that he denied doing, it's not only a campaign finance violation at the state and federal level, he's also guilty of lying to Congress. And just a fun fact here, if DeJoy is sent to prison, that would mean every single one of the deputy finance chairmen of the Republican National Committee have been sent to jail. I'm not saying that the GOP leadership is a criminal enterprise. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, a statement has been issued on DeJoy's behalf. His spokesman said, quote, Mr. DeJoy consistently provided family members and employees with various opportunities to get involved in activities that a family member or employee might feel was important or enjoyable to that individual. Mr. DeJoy was never notified by the new breed employees referenced by the Washington Post of any pressure they might have felt to make a political contribution, and he regrets if any employee felt uncomfortable for any reason. During his leadership of New Breed Logistics, Mr. DeJoy sought and received legal advice from the former General Counsel of the Federal Election Commission on election laws, including the law of political contributions, to ensure that he, New Breed Logistics, and any person affiliated with New Breed fully complied with any and all law. Mr. DeJoy believes that all campaign fundraising laws and regulations should be complied with in all respects. And the platitudes are great and all, but what you might notice is that nowhere in that statement is a denial of the actual facts at the center of this scheme. We're not interested in whether employees felt nurtured in terms of getting involved in politics. We're interested in whether DeJoy used his employees to siphon money to Republican campaigns in an illegal straw donor scheme. And the fact that he never acknowledged that should speak volumes. Now, as for Trump's remarks here, he clearly sees that DeJoy is in trouble, and so even Trump knows to tread carefully. But he does offer one tepid defense of the Postmaster General. He pretends that Louis DeJoy is some bipartisan selection, claiming that he was approved by both parties. Here's what he's referring to. The USPS Board of Governors, which is responsible for confirming a new Postmaster General, is made up of 4 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and all were appointed during Trump's term, meaning that because DeJoy's appointment was successful and came from a board that had Democrats on it, Trump is claiming that he's some bipartisan consensus choice. No, he was chosen by a Republican majority board of directors that includes Democrats who had zero power to have overruled DeJoy's confirmation. That's like saying Brett Kavanaugh passed with, quote, the approval of both parties. Just because one party used a majority to shoehorn through an unqualified nominee doesn't mean that person had bipartisan support. And Trump knows that, but he's treating us like we're stupid. And of course, Trump says that he'd like to see an investigation if it's warranted, but he's doing nothing more than placating the reporter who asked the question. In reality, Trump knows DeJoy is a crook. He wasn't appointed in spite of that, he was appointed because of that. Trump needed someone depraved enough to be willing to sabotage the nation's mail, the service that Americans rely on for medications and business shipments and livestock, all to help Trump in the next election. Why? Because Democrats are willing to vote by mail, and Trump, knowing that he can't stop people from voting, is determined then to simply break the USPS. He knew that he found the person who would help him do that in Louis DeJoy. So what needs to happen is that DeJoy needs to be investigated immediately, and if he's found guilty, locked up with the rest of his corrupt Republican fundraisers. The fact is that with the same urgency that Trump installs criminals, Democrats need to be willing to have them sent to prison. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.